First, when Jen is practicing her closing argument in her office, we can spot some fun items behind her. We can see her diplomas from the University of California and her bookshelf, including a UCLA mug, a bobblehead of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a book about badass women, a mug that says, "See you later, litigator," which is hilarious. Second, Nikki mentions that Jen has a savage look that she could use in the courtroom. This is a nod to the first Marvel She-Hulk comic from 1980, which was actually titled The Savage She-Hulk Issue Number 1. Third, right from the start, She-Hulk establishes that it's going to have Jen break the fourth wall, which is absolutely amazing. In the comics, Jennifer Walters also breaks the fourth wall to talk directly to the audience. Fourth, while driving with Jen, Bruce reveals how he created a device that keeps him out of his Hulk form. This finally answers the question why Bruce did not look like Smart Hulk during the Shang-Chi's mid-credits scene. We can even spot the device in Shang-Chi 2. Fifth, as Bruce points out afterward, the spaceship that runs Jen and Bruce off the road is Sakharin. Sakaar is where Bruce, Hulk, spent a majority of his time after fleeing Earth. Sixth, in She-Hulk series, Jen gains her Hulk powers after her wound from the car crash is contaminated with Bruce's blood, but in the She-Hulk comics, Jen gains her Hulk powers after she is in need of a blood transfusion after an accident, and Bruce is the only available donor. Seventh, when Jen enters the bar after transforming into She-Hulk for the first time, you can spot a QR code on the wall next to her. This QR code takes you to a free digital copy of the Savage She-Hulk issue number 1 from 1980. 8. While looking around the house, Jen spots a broken Iron Man helmet. This particular helmet looks like one of the helmets from the Iron Legion from Avengers Age of Ultron. 9th, Bruce mentions to Jen that he's Smart Hulk.
Smart Hulk.
Wow.
मैंने नाम नहीं बनाया, पता नहीं ये लोग भी कैसे-कैसे नाम रखते थे.
Which is the first time the MCU has used that nickname for this version of the Hulk. The moment is likely a playful nod to how fans nicknamed this version Smart Hulk after Avengers Endgame. 10th, Bruce tells Jen that they are in a lab in Mexico.
कहाँ है इस वक्त?
Mexico.
Which is where he spent most of the blip. The Gamma Lab was first mentioned by Bruce in Avengers Endgame.
18 महीने लैब में काम किया, बैनर का दिमाग और हल्क की बॉडी को एक किया.
When Natasha, Steve, and Scott meet with him. 11th, when Jen asks Bruce how he would transform back into Bruce from the Hulk, he mentions the two ways we see in Avengers Age of Ultron, with Tony beating him up and Natasha singing to him. Bruce even jokes that Natasha's lullaby was odd, which is something fans have called out too.
आमतौर पे जब मैं किसी जेट से गिरता था या कोई रोबोट मेरे होश उड़ा देता था, तब मैं बैनर बन के जागता था या नताशा कुछ देर के लिए मुझे लोरियां सुनाती थी.
12th, when Bruce and Jen argue after she announces she wants to go home, they both use the thunder clap on each other. This is the first time we've seen Hulk use this move since the Incredible Hulk in 2008. 13th, Jamila Jamil makes her grand entrance into the MCU as Titania, who is a villain taken directly from the She-Hulk comics. In the comics, Titania is She-Hulk's greatest adversary, and she also fights Spider-Man. 14th, in the mid-credits scene, Bruce hilariously reveals to Jen that Steve Rogers is not a virgin, and that he lost his virginity on the USO tour in 1943. Now, not only is this one of the funniest post-credits scenes the MCU has given us, but if we go back and watch Captain America: The First Avenger, we assume Steve slept with this girl while on his USO tour.
Steve Rogers कोई वर्जिन नहीं है. उसने एक लड़की के साथ अपनी वर्जिनिटी खो दी 1943 यूनाइटेड नेशंस के एक मिशन पर.
Yes, जानती थी.
15th, also, in the She-Hulk closing credits, you can see Jen creating a diagram for Steve's sex life, which includes a drawing of Peggy and a blonde USO woman.